Hi, everyone. This is Derek Harp, the founder and chairman of the Control Systems Cybersecurity Association International, or as we call it, just CSA. CSA is a 501c6 nonprofit workforce development association dedicated to helping grow, support, and sustain the professionals charged with the cybersecurity of control systems. We're specifically talking about those systems that have pumps and valves and actuators, real cyber to physical moving parts, and control nearly every aspect of our modern connected industries. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. It is my hope you find it inspirational or motivating or revealing or informative, and perhaps at times even a little entertaining. Take care and be well.
Hi, this is Derek Harp, founder and chairman of CSA and the host of the CSA podcast show. I've got another great guest on today. I've got Max Aulakh. He is the founder and CEO of Ignyte Assurance Platform out of Ohio. He is also a military veteran, and he is a motorcycle enthusiast. I will definitely try to remember to ask him about that. And a volunteer and great guy to know. And we'll get into his story here today. Welcome to the show, Max.
Thank you so much, Derek, for having me. It's a pleasure. Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, I get the privilege of interviewing so many people and learning so much about all of your experiences. And it's one of the highlights of my month. Get to do this a couple of times a month. And you and I met some time ago, but didn't get a chance to do this till today. And I'm looking forward to hearing parts of your story that I know I don't know. But one thing I do know is that you've got a military background, which I do as well. Thank you for your service. We'll get to that in a sec. So where do you start out in life? I always joke that security people are modern day superheroes and have a backstory. All superheroes have to have one, right? So where are you from?
So originally migrated from India, lived in India for first 13 years of my life. My father applied for, citizenship at U.S. Embassy, and it's quite difficult. And it took him entirely a whole decade. 10 years later, I was 3 years old. The embassy calls and says, "Hey, your number is here. You can go now." We had actually given up. And we were blessed to have that opportunity. Sold everything we owned, moved to Oklahoma, learned English, and then joined the military right after that 9/11 happened. So that's my backstory. That's how I got into security, is because of the military, but had migrated from India many years ago.
I love that. And there's so, we're now over 100 episodes, and each of you have so many different aspects to your background. And that's another one. Many have traveled quite a bit, but coming here and learning English as a second language as a teenager and noting where where you are today, I think that's inspirational. And we know we have listeners who that's one of the deliveries of this platform is inspiring that they too can get into this industry and do well no matter what they might be doing today. Was your in those early years, your formative years, any sort of technology interest, or did that come later because of the military? What's your sort of technology state for the early years?
I'll jokingly say, right, if you're cyber has no discrimination, right? Like if you love cyber, anybody can get into it. Doesn't matter where you come from. But for me, there's a couple of two things that happened in my life. I had a mentor, the chief in the Air Force at the time, and he said, "Max, you want to volunteer as much as you can, serve." At that time, I didn't know what security was. I had no idea. I had a job with Department of Treasury just as an intern out of high school. It was great. I wasn't learning security, just scrubbing hard drives, doing that kind of work.
Yeah.
But Mr. Irons, or Chief Irons, really motivated me and was was kind of a mentor in my life that said, "Hey, you should join. You should serve your country. Always volunteer. Give your time." That's really what got me going, man. And I went open general, so that's like a good thing, but also a bad thing. It turned out great for me. Basically said to the military, put me where you think I belong. And my ASVAB scores reflected that. I really so they put me in security forces, and that's how I kind of got started, which is like military police. That's how I got started into security.
Yeah, and that's interesting that everybody says, where do the leaders of and people in these interesting positions, let's say across the industry, where do they come from? Well, they come from lots of different origin stories, right? And they're not, there's maybe some commonalities. There are a lot of veterans, there's certainly evidence that that's in play, but there's other than a few things that maybe come up more often than not, there's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of different things and the inspiration to get into it. So I think, that makes sense. I mean, I think it's similar to me. I didn't have a technical background, but the military introduced me to security. It was a security-based culture. before the business world would have ever, could have ever claimed to have such a thing. It was, and so I didn't think about it as a distinctive thing, just it's a thing, it's everywhere. And we're learning it and doing it in communication security and just getting some jobs shoved down my throat where I had to be like, okay, how does this work? But that does pave well for, for later. And so I could see how that was big for you. What was your plan? Was it like, hey, I might do a career at this? Or were you thinking, no, I'm going to use this, I'm going to get it, I'm going to use it as a stepping stone? What was your vision for?
Yeah, I was going to be a lifer, man. I was hooked. I was like, this coming to America for me was a great opportunity. It still is. It's still the best country in my mind. So people have a choice. They join either for 4 years or 6 years. I joined for 6 because I really thought I was going to stay in the whole 20. In terms of the career choice, there's a little bit of a trickery to it with the recruiters, right? Like they showed me the cool videos, guys riding on Humvees and having all sorts of fun. Yeah, it's some of that, but a lot of it wasn't. So yeah, my initial intent was to stay in because the chief, Mr. Irons, who had kind of mentored me, he was in for 20 plus years. So I thought, man, what a great career.
Yeah.
What a fantastic career he had and impact on his family and everything. So that was my initial intent. But I did 6.5 years, and it was awesome. And Derek, how many years did you do? I'm just curious.
About 5. I don't know the exact number of months, but a little over 5.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's 6 or 5. It kind of changes you as an individual, right? So
yeah, I went into it maybe not necessarily knowing that I wouldn't go longer. I knew within about a year or 2, then I wasn't going to stay in. For me, it was the urge to be an entrepreneur, which had already been in play a little bit, came back on pretty strong. But man, oh man, yeah, I'm super grateful for the component. And I think for all our veteran listeners, might say, well, I haven't been trained in cyber. There's so many of you have been on the, we have to go back maybe and map how many guests and how many people have had a military background, but it's been very common. And it's a building block, right? It's a huge opportunity and so you just got to figure out how to position the things that you did and the things you learned. I remember, one person was talking about all the briefings she gave, not cyber security at all, but many, many briefings, presenting, honing the presentation. And it's a huge part of what she does today. Yeah, she's in cyber today, but that formative skill wasn't cyber-based, but certainly translated to her career path. And I bet there's a ton of stuff from that 6 years for you that translated. And you were in the security realm and you were security conscious and security thinking about it, but you weren't doing what you were doing today, I would bet, by any stretch.
Yeah, Derek, I'll tell you, because you have a lot of veterans listeners, I knew I wanted to get out when I got my Article 15. But there are, regardless of that, there's so many things that you learn, when you start, if you're getting into security, serving in any field is amazing, because I think you got to have a servant's heart in security. That's just fundamentally what I believe, and the Air Force and the military forces you to learn that. Like, they don't even teach you, they force you to learn how to serve. And then, yes, radically different, same intent, different mission, different level of resourcing, but we deal with a lot of the same type of actors with same type of motivations and different opportunities and whatnot, different motives. But yeah, a lot of things that you learn, you can apply it within information security. And that's what I did. So, well,
let's talk a little bit about education, because you took a unique path. You pieced it together and have taken a number of programs, but you did some of it, if I've got the dates right, when I started looking into your background, during service.
Yeah, I started. So, my dad, he's like, you're from India. What are you doing? Every Indian that I know either needs a gas station or has engineering. What are you doing? Right? That's what he told me. And at that time, by the way, Derek, he did actually own a gas station. So just right. So, but I went into American Military University because it fit my lifestyle at the time, which is deployments, high deployment tempo. I spent 4 years in the Middle East. And so how can you get something done while you're deploying? 4 years is a long time. So shout out to them. They were fantastic. They have a great program for veterans, people who are serving as well. So I finished my undergraduate there. And then after I got out of the service, and actually basically when I started my business long time ago, I said, I want to put some of this into practice, because I was taking security at AMU as bachelors, but I was putting it into practice in the Air Force, doing the job day to day. I wanted to do the same thing when it came to business. So I started my first business at the same time. First day of MBA, essentially registered the company and started to practice what I was learning.
Well, what was it? That's a great lead. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so the first firm was called Mafazo, and it was a services firm. We worked a lot with, we had some defense contracts, so I was working on base. I had my first defense contract in a contracting vehicle called NetSense for Wright-Patterson. We had clients, we had Dell as a client working on their trusted encryption, FIPS encryption, and those kinds of things because, we told them, hey, majority of your work is getting shipped off to India for software development, but when it comes to FIPS and those kinds of protocol, it needs to stay here. So you can still have the Indians, but maybe an Indian that's here, right? So a lot of consulting work. I teamed up with my cousin, who's very smart when it comes to low-level programming, mathematician, great reverse engineer. And so we teamed up, kind of formed up this firm and built a lot of cool tools around encryption, source code analysis, and did a lot of high-end consulting with a lot of different firms.
And that company, and you've been in the Dayton, Ohio, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base was, I'm guessing, is that where you last served?
Yeah, this was my last duty assignment, and I just never left. So
yeah, okay,
just still here. Yeah,
still there. And that area of the world is near and dear to my heart. I lived about 45 minutes from where you are now, or an hour away. Then I lived on the other side in Columbus, Ohio. Met my wife there, and have had cousins living in the Dayton area. So my upbringing is in that same job.
So next time you come, Derek, you have to tell me, seriously. And next time I'm up in Indiana, I'm going to tell you, because never met in person, but would love to. So
yeah, absolutely. Now, the only full disclosure, I've moved around a lot, and I'm now in Atlanta, Georgia. So I've got friends and family in the Midwest. But if you're in Atlanta, let me know for sure. But I've migrated a number of times. So let's talk about what led then to the new company, to Ignyte.
Yep. So what happened with Mafazo was I got cocky. I'll be honest with you. As an entrepreneur, I'm like, man, making money is easy, right? Like in the military, you work 90 plus hours overseas. And then you're like, I'll put in a good 60, 70 and you'll make great money. And that's exactly what happened. We made great money. We had great clients. And then we built a second product, and it was actually around source code analysis back when Fortify was coming out. And our focus was around developers were struggling with false positives. There's so many false positives. So we wanted to be the solution to that, is how do you reduce the number of false positives?
Yeah.
Well, we built this entire apparatus. I remember my cousin, we were checking the lines of codes, and every time there's a developer change, man, it was great. We thought we were going to hit it big, and it was a complete flop because I didn't have marketing, I didn't have sales, I didn't have operational processes, any of that, because we were trying to take a services company and somehow figure out how to build a product. And that's a totally different operation. So lost a bunch of money. Fast forward in, I think 2019, 20 to 2022, raised a round of funding and basically launched another venture, Ignyte Assurance Platform, taking away all the lessons learned on how to do customer service from our services business, as well as productization. And today we're essentially a GRC platform that takes a little bit of natural language processing, but our goal is really to tie it to operational security, right? So how do we take some of these checklist-based approach and tie it to real operational data sets? So in the military, we call it like, what's the commander's intent? Are we meeting that intent by looking at the actual operational data? And a lot of times in GRC world, that's disconnected. My policy says one thing, the reality is something totally different. So coming from a very technical background, working within trusted computing, FIPS, trying to rewrite, false positive analysis, and knowing how software development works, I got older. I'm like, man, I need to do GRC, right? And we're trying to merge those two things together. So a lot of our clients, they'll come to us if they want to solve like high assurance use cases like FedRAMP or special access or weapon systems, because there you can't just do paperwork. Real operational security matters, and that's some of the things that we do today.
What's your nexus with operational technology and industrial control systems?
So a great question. So a simple is, when I worked at Wright-Patterson, so that was my last assignment, I was working on what they call the platform IT, or weapon systems accreditation. In the DoD, do a fairly decent job at that. But now the supply chain is actually here in the Midwest, the Rust Belt, right? A lot of those components, firmware, hardware is actually coming from the small businesses. So right now we help a lot of small businesses with this framework called Cybersecurity Maturity Model. Level 2 is just IT and accounting for operational technology stuff. But some of our classified clients, and if they want to go to something called CMMC Level 3, so drone builders, those kinds of folks, they have to get through this certification process. So we help out a lot of companies really digging into like everything from supply chain side to firmware, hardware bill of material, software bill of material. All that data needs to be collected and packaged up. That's what we're doing on the operational security side of the house.
And what are you seeing as far as trends? I mean, I think I talked to so many people that are looking at, there's so many pockets of this industry and there's so much going on. What are you, maybe two questions. What are you most excited about? Like, we're really cracking the code here. I think progress is being made here, whatever you want to phrase it. And maybe your area that concerns you the most, where you think there's nobody's looking or we're not making enough progress.
Yeah, I think what's most exciting is that finally people are talking about it, because, traditionally in operational technology, we talk about the SCADA systems or weapon systems, right? And then you have some critical infrastructure mixed in that SCADA system. But now we're talking about machine builders, people who are actually building machines like drones, right? That's an actual weapon capability. We're talking about machines and components that go into larger systems. So historically, we've kind of just all done these things as hush hush, but now there's more awareness in the manufacturing plant that is non-security. So I'm excited about that. The concern is around, it's just a technical thing. Like, it's very difficult to test unique components. So there's a lack of standards. You can't just take a regular JTAG and start testing electrical components. Building out custom harnesses takes a lot of time. So one of our customers, they asked us, well, do you guys have a counterfeit solution, right? And I'm waiting for like a small business that can actually figure out how to do counterfeits of chips. And right now, majority of the primes do that, a lot of the big companies. But so yeah, I think what can help with that is not just innovation, but standardization across the board for interoperability. I know we talk about that a lot, but I have yet to really see it. So those are some of the things that I'm seeing when it comes to operational technology, and I think they're going to be critical when when CMMC 3.0 finally hits the street and people have to actually make these systems work.
Yeah, that's a good segue. Talk about view on regulations and standards. There's people, especially regulations, people that love them, people that hate them, people that are neutral on them and say they're necessary, but have some challenges with them. What's your view on their role in us making progress here?
Yeah, coming from like a third world country, at that time it was third world. Now India is like one of the fourth or fifth biggest economy. I have an appreciation for what we do here in the United States, because in India, at least from other countries, we can agree to rules, but then when we enforce them, we fight about it at that time. Here, we fight about it before we agree, which I really love. So there's the whole NIST process on contribution, public comments. I don't like all the rules, but I don't see a lot of people contributing. So if you don't like it, you have to contribute. The other thing I wish we had is a garbage collection of rules that are no longer relevant. Because as an auditor, we are FedRAMP auditors. We do a lot of 3PAO, third-party assessment, professional audits for the US government. When I sit through these audits, it's painful for me. It's like, I'm asking you questions that I know that are irrelevant, but I have to ask you. So yeah. I just wish there was a garbage collection of deregulating things properly within a controls framework, because technology moves a lot faster. So a concept I've talked about to NIST, but I don't know if it's ever caught on fire, but man, that's how I think we can kind of right size, make it applicable, relevant, and less tedious. So I would love to see that in our lifetime.
That is a great hands-on, non-theoretical example. It's like, here's how it plays out. And Yeah, that echoes everything I've ever heard. It's not a perfect solution, but a lot of people are saying it's sort of necessary. It moves some stakeholders to take action that they might not otherwise take action, but it isn't a perfect process. And as you point out, it could benefit from some refinement, but it's tough, right? It's a huge, oftentimes a big, like moving the Titanic, right? Or moving a huge ship, and moves very, very slowly, and there's so many parts and pieces, and so getting out of date at the pace of technology change makes sense. How could these things not get rapidly out of date, or aspects of them?
Yeah, so like some of those old rules where I always laugh at them, where like women can't wear shiny shoes for some odd reason from the 1800s, right?
Yeah,
We can ignore those things, right? Obviously, but it would be awesome, and it's hard to do that when it comes to technology, because you still might have legacy systems. We know XP is running out there somewhere, right?
yeah.
So you need to ask the question of like, is this thing syncing up to the network time protocol, whatever, right? Some archaic question that you would never ask a cloud computing provider.
Yeah.
But man, it would be awesome if we could just put a time expiration,
Yeah.
on these, on irrelevancy. But again, these are all concepts. These are all things that I've voiced. I am a proponent of regulation that deregulates itself. If such concept can be adopted, man, that would be pretty neat.
Hey everybody, Derek Harp here, and I just want to take a brief moment to thank 3 companies that make this podcast series possible. The first company is Waterfall Security Solutions. They led the charge this year for the podcast, and they specifically sponsored it from their podcast, the Industrial Security Podcast. So check that out. That's a great linkage to an entire other series of over 100 episodes. They had their anniversary recently, focused on control system cybersecurity, and they were supported this year by KPMG and Fortinet. We could not do this without them. These companies not only have supported this podcast series this year, but they supported CSA since its very early days 8 years ago. And we're entirely grateful to the teams and dedicated professionals at Waterfall Security Solutions, KPMG, and Fortinet.
Love it. Great insight. What about artificial intelligence? It's everywhere. It's talked about. It's a buzzword. It's a real thing. Obviously, there's a lot going on. It's going to affect both sides of the coin, as far as threat adversaries using it as well as defenders using it. And so I've always started to work that into some of these interviews, just your views on it and where you're seeing it, maybe firsthand or not, in what you're doing.
I love it. I think it's awesome. Innovation is always great. I know there are a lot of concerns about displacement, but I come from a blue collar family. Those people are always getting displaced, so it doesn't bother me. We've seen that. And I think it's generally a good thing. So you get to upskill and learn new things. But when it comes to adapting into, let's say, cybersecurity or GRC, I actually had a security forces information systems manager. In the DoD, I would love to see more acceleration, more adoption, because I think we need to be able to take more risk to defend ourselves against the adversaries. But on the commercial side, I don't know about you, Derek, but I'm already seeing it. Like open API integrated with everything, right? Everybody is saying, you go to the shows this year, I hear from RSA, everybody is doing everything with AI, right? It's like we've got a less of an appreciation for real intelligence, and but we rather have artificial intelligence, right?
There's a quote for the day. Wow. But you're right. It's worked into every conversation, to the degree. I'm not quite sure how much some are using it and some aren't. Clearly, in some, it's like essential to what their approach is, and others, it's being added by somebody to their brochure. But it is probably no conversation goes without it coming up in some way.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have asked us, hey, can you pump out the controls responses? Of course, right? Can you generate my SOC 2 package? Can you generate this accreditation package using it? I think the answer is yes, we're doing it, but it's a little bit of garbage in, garbage out. These reports are like 1,000-page long. It's like, why even read them if nobody's writing them? So we have to look at it from the perspective of, if we're not going to read it, why don't we just summarize, right? And synthesize the information to reflect reality. But yeah, we get asked all the time, can your GRC tool plug into OpenAI? And we're like, yes, if that's what you want your controls and data, sure. Here's the agreement that they want you to sign. We'll flow it through you. But then there's other entities, especially on the federal side, FedRAMP work and all of that. That's all totally disconnected, where they don't want that, right? So from a business standpoint, we've adopted it within some of our processes, especially taking meeting minutes and things like that. Marketing uses it, but when it comes to security operations, especially for what we do, I think our customers are still very conservative. So are we. So we're not necessarily adopting it in full effect. But for public data, non-sensitive marketing, we're starting to see the impact of that on our organization. It's made things a lot easier for us.
I think you raised the right point, which is ask yourself, what are the unintended consequences, not just of this technology, but a lot of things. But this is a perfect example. And like, oh yeah, we want this output. I mean, I can think of the positives. What are the unintended consequences of uploading all this information? Where does it go? Who's got their hands on it? You know, it's probably the most important thing for anybody right now is not to say don't. It's not a don't use it, and it's not a absolutely use it. It's a what are you trying to accomplish, and how can it help, and what are the unintended consequences? That's what it seems like to me, and I'm not implementing it.
What do you think, Derek? Do you think we'll see a full adoption of this technology within operational technology? Like, what are you seeing out there from some of the companies and organizations you're talking to?
Yeah, I mean, it comes up all the time, and so it's clearly on people's minds. I've been seeing a couple things that people have shown me how, you know, what they're doing works. Yeah, that's powerful. So I can see the positives.
Yeah.
But I think it's also, you know, to me, it seems very analogous to the connections that have been made into OT environments that used to be air gapped and not connected. Some of them were made, the business reason to do it was quite obvious. We're going to be able to control this remote process from here. We're going to have less people involved. We're going to save money. Yeah, but what are the unintended consequences of this, you know, adopting it? We run the same risk. Like, oh, let's adopt this because here's what it'll do. We can have what used to take 3 people, you know, 18 hours can be 1 person done in, you know, in 2 hours. We should do that. Well, that does sound great, but maybe we should really think about, you know, what else we have to think about. It does seem like we're immature. Like it's very powerful. And it'll change some aspects of probably every industry, but we got to think, just be pragmatic and thoughtful about it. And I know people are writing about some of the negatives and dark sides about it and very concerned about it. And I'm not an expert on, you know, where it can go wrong, but I know it's a powerful tool, which means it's going to have 2 sides.
Yeah, it reminds me of, at least for operational technology, remember when people used to come out to your door and check your meter, then eventually they're like, we're just driving up to it and getting it wirelessly. And now they're like, we're not even coming. You know? So,
yeah.
So yeah, I think it'll happen. It's just timing. But again, I'll see if, you know, what I'm seeing is that if the industry doesn't impose self-regulation, somebody will step in and say, hey, here's, like, you got to check this stuff out, right? Here's what's happening, and here's how you're separating data, not sharing, inference. So I'm starting to see that at least some bodies are trying to get ahead of it. I think ISO just put out some certification behind it. So
that makes sense. Some guardrails, right? I mean, it's there's lawsuits already occurring. You know, it's like, wait a minute, my data was used by your algorithm to do. You know, it's. I think we're early. You know, I mean, it's funny what you're measuring. You could say it's finally arrived. People have been working on this for, you know, a long time, but it seems like it's just reached this sort of, I don't know, crossed the chasm. You know, there's everyday people using it. I use it. I use
it too.
My kids, you know, especially my teenager, you know, has used it. And so it's like, okay, it is going to be part of our life, but man, yeah, there's some stuff still to figure out. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, this podcast, Derek, it's an AI podcast. I'm not real. No, I'm kidding.
I detected a couple of things. It's really good. It's, you know, it seemed at first it was you, but then I realized no, it's not. He's too busy, and it's just yeah.
Thank you for your feedback. I will take that into my input.
Well, it was about the joke about the gas station. It was just too money.
I gotta fine tune that. Yeah.
Oh man.
I gotta go get some more Indians in my database. That's what you're telling me.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, any parting words? You know, obviously I've got one more little piece I want to do with you, but any parting words for the OT cyber community on any aspect of it? It's a multifaceted thing, right? Just something something on your mind? And
Yeah, no, I think the main thing is I'm excited that, OT and GRC has been very disconnected, but there's this CMMC thing that's kind of carving the bridge. So I'm pretty excited about it. So anybody out there listening, I would highly encourage you to pay attention to these devices. I forgot what the nomenclature, the term that the government uses, but it's essentially it's creeping into the operational technology. So far we have seen the Department of Energy and those kinds of players create these rules, but now the DCMA, Defense Contract Management Agency, they're putting out facilities related controls. That's what they call it, facilities related controls. So if you're listening and you're curious about what the government is attempting to or trying to do, I would highly encourage you to, look at that. And if you got any questions, reach out, connect with me.
awesome. How best should people reach out to you? Is it LinkedIn or directly or?
LinkedIn is good, or just directly, max@igniteplatform.com. But I try to contribute as much as I can on LinkedIn. That's probably the good first step.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for that. I think this community, it's like you said, we were all back to where we started about sharing and about giving back and about, it's a great community for that. And I think most of the people that have the show have had the same parting message, which is I'm glad to help, reach out. And I love that about our community. Thanks for that. Well, we're now at the part of the show that is always fun. I borrow something from a television show, and they borrowed it from a French show. I don't know if it was television or radio or what it was, but it's called the Pivot Questionnaire. And the Inside the Actor Studio, the longtime host James Lipton used it at the end. And so all these famous actors and actresses, everybody we would all recognize, every interview ended with these same exact 10 questions. And so I've not changed the Pivot Questionnaire. And if you're up for it, we'll end our show with the same questions.
All right, let's see. Let's try it.
All right. What is your favorite word?
Right now, my favorite word is something we made up called DOR, Department of Redundancy. That is our favorite word right now.
What is your least favorite word?
I don't have one right now. I'm always exploring language as non-native English speaker for the second language, so I don't have one right now. No, I'll say utilize. I hate that word. I don't know why we don't just say use, but that's the one I don't like.
What turns you on, either creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
I think serving others, that's a big part of me. Church is a big part of me. I got plugged into church very early when I moved to the United States. So, and then spending time with my family.
What turns you off?
I would say, I would say probably too much work. I'm a workaholic, so I try to kind of regulate myself and intentionally not work. And that's hard. That's really hard for me. It takes more energy not to work than to work. So.
What is your favorite curse word or abbreviation, or do you have one?
I love the curse words from Ned Flanders, The Simpson. So I would say diddly doodly. That's my favorite curse word.
What sound or noise do you love?
Pen clicking, I love that. Just fiddling around. I would say that would be one of my favorite sounds in a room. Kind of weird, but yes, that's what it is.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Trains, I guess you could say. Childhood memories. I don't like trains or those kinds of noises, I guess you could say.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh man, I'd love to be a dancer. I can't dance, but if I could, that would be it.
And what profession would you like to not do?
Man, I've done so many things. I guess I wouldn't do some of the things I did in the military. Carrying a gun every day, that was pretty difficult. Can't do it anymore. But yeah, I would say I would not like to do that anymore.
And if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Man, welcome. Enter, I think that would be, he wouldn't have to say anything, Derek.
I'm just finishing up with another great interview with Max. Oh, shoot. Okay, editor Aulakh? No.
Aulakh.
I knew I had it wrong. Aulakh. Okay, so editor, make sure you capture that. I'm just finishing up an interview with Max Aulakh. He is the CEO and co-founder of Ignyte Assurance Platform, former military veteran, great contributor to the community of cybersecurity, and welcomes people to reach out to him, a giver, a give back, a person focused on giving back. I'm going to do this one more time, take 3. I'd like these to be punchy and not wander around. All right, I'm just finishing up an interview with Max Aulakh, the co-founder and CEO of Ignyte Assurance Platform. Great contributor to the community, of cybersecurity, and very willing to give back and be of service to others. What a pleasure to get to know you. These podcasts for me are an awesome way to get to know people better. Some people I've known a long time and I learn new things, and people I've known less. And I loved hearing your story, and I love your sense of humor, and I look forward to getting to know each other better. And I definitely will let you know when I'm going to be in the Dayton area, and you please do the same when you're going to be in Atlanta.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Derek, for having me on.
All right, Max, take care, be well, and I look forward to talking again with you soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Derek. Take care. All right, bye.
Hi, everyone. This is Derek Harp, the founder and chairman of the Control System Cybersecurity Association International, or as we call it, just CISA. CISA is a 501c6 nonprofit workforce development association dedicated to helping grow, support, and sustain the professionals charged with the cybersecurity of control systems. We're specifically talking about those systems that have pumps and valves and actuators, real cyber to physical moving parts, and control nearly every aspect of our modern connected industries. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. It is my hope you find it inspirational or motivating or revealing or informative, and perhaps at times even a little entertaining. Take care and be well.